Ladies and gentlemen, I have a special guest in the house. We have a living legend sitting at my coffee table, but he's also my friend, Marshall Badger, who also has just amazing music. I could tell that he's meticulous. He took his time to really get this right. So let's get into it. Marshall Badger. Since 84, Entertainment. Welcome to the David Jonathan Perception Podcast. I am David Jonathan, and my guest on today is Marshall Badger. Welcome, Marshall.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you.
Man, I'm glad that we're having this conversation. As long as you and I have known each other, and we'll get into how that's happened. But as long as you and me have known each other, to finally get to sit down and just have a powwow, because usually it's because of me. It's because
you got that right. Thank you for your honesty.
It's true, because I'll be trying to do, oh my goodness, I'll be trying to do 40 things. If I told you I was up until the morning, like I haven't been to sleep only for about 2 hours, because I'm a perfectionist and I'm trying to make sure things are done right. But I am so happy that you are here to join me. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Good.
Life is good.
Life is great, no matter what, right?
No matter what.
Marshall, I'm going to just read a couple things. I'm used to just calling him Marshall, so whatever you want to call him is completely up to you. But Marshall Badger accompanied Tony Comer and the Crosswinds. Wow. And if I'm pronouncing this right, the Varson Community Choir?
Yes.
And Melba Moore and Kim Waters. He's also open for Angela Bofield, Gerald Alston, and Blue Magic. Another great legendary thing there. Kofi Wilmot and Kim Waters. Wow.
Yes.
So Marshall's on my show, and I'm happy to have him here. So could you just get into, I guess I'm trying to figure out where to begin. What led you into music? What's your story?
Well, I started out when I was very young, basically in church. I learned how to play the guitar, but my very first instrument was the violin.
Oh, wow.
And then I went to the trumpet, then finally the guitar. And I started playing in church and developing my ear for music. And I've been going ever since.
Well, you're good at it. You're very great at it.
I feel like I'm blessed. God has blessed me with that talent.
What's interesting is I'm 35 years old, and
you're still young.
I'm still a baby. But I remember, growing up in the Buffalo music scene, you always heard about certain people and their skill set, and it was like guys would they go to sheds, and of course they'd be having these conversations, who's good at doing this and who's good at doing that, and your name would come up quite often.
Really?
That's how I really heard of you first.
Wow.
Was this myth of Marshall Badger. And I just said to myself, like, I got to meet this guy one day. And I remember a handful of sheds that I've been to at True Bethel. And one day, I can't remember who was, I want to say AG was there. And he was I think it was like his first time back home. For real. This is probably about 6 to 10 years ago.
Wow.
And all this time, and this is before we did In the Beginning. So all this, Marshall Badger's coming. Marshall Badger? So wait a minute. So I'm thinking, Pastor Badger has a brother named Marshall Badger? And you come in, not really unassuming. You had your guitar. You just came in cool, humble. You plugged in, and you started going, man. And I'm like, oh, I was really taken back, just watch you. I've always been a very, big ears listener musician. And I always loved what you did. And I didn't know that it would be the start of you and me ended up working together for a play eventually called In the Beginning,
Yes.
which was directed by Lorna Hill.
The late
Late Lorna Hill. Ashe.
Yes.
Ashe, Miss Lorna. Miss Lorna is and gosh, she's impacted everybody.
Yes.
I have nothing, I have people that say that they're very sad of her passing, but on one end I see it differently because she was so legendary in how she handled people, and I got to witness that.
Yes.
And I felt like regardless of what happened, she completed her mission.
Yes, she did.
She did exactly what she was supposed to do.
She did a great job. Great job.
Yeah. Do you have any fond memories of Lorna just working together or otherwise?
Well, I was very honored when this was well after the play, some years after, she called me to play a part in another play, but unfortunately I was unavailable at that time. But I was really, really honored that she thought of me to make that call.
Right.
And also she was a no nonsense kind of person.
She got down to business.
Yeah, and it was all about, like you said, taking care of business, making sure everything was right, and she just did her thing, and she represented Buffalo very well.
Yeah, she really did. I was proud to also be a part of that, and that's where I feel like you and me got to know each other more, because for 35 nights. That's what we was doing, man.
Man,
we was holding it down, guitar and drums.
Oh man, that good times, man.
Yeah.
Good, and that was my first time doing a play like that.
Yeah,
it was a great learning experience.
it really was.
And
Being
you
in
know
the pit.
what? I have to say this. At the time, I was before then. I was playing at Bethesda, and it was just me and the drummer for 2 years.
And who was drumming at the time?
That was God.
Was it Squeak?
No.
Was it Deshaun?
It wasn't Deshaun. To be honest,
Do you know what year it was?
that was 07 and 08 and 09.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that time period. I feel like I could see the person that played, but I can't remember who that was.
It was that gave me great experience in just being on my own, and holding it down.
Right.
And so from that experience, I was able to do In the Beginning.
Yeah. And you did that thing, man.
Thank
we
you.
did that thing, man.
We did that thing, yes.
And I'm honored that I got to work with you in an aspect. It made me feel good to. I was geeked because I was getting to work with somebody who I really respected in the business, and I know I was probably like a teeny kid to you, and but I just always had a lot of respect from you from afar, and just eventually finding out that we talked about my Uncle Fred.
Yes.
And my father. So
Yes.
So that's just crazy
man.
to me,
Yeah.
My dad spent many years at Bethesda, and my Uncle Fred was over BOK for a long time.
Yes.
And what was your job there again?
I was doing an internship for a copywriter.
Nice.
So I wrote commercials.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like Buffalo doesn't know as a whole everything that you've got a chance to put your feet in. I think they would be surprised, but you know how Buffalo can be sometimes.
Oh yeah.
They'll forget, and this is why we have shows like this to remind them
Yes.
of who you are. Marshall has a great song he has two great songs. Let me put it to you that let's start there first. He has two great songs, and we're going to preview one of them right now called Heaven. And what is can you tell me real quickly the basis of that song?
Heaven is the place where you want to be. It's the place where you want to go. You know what I'm saying? It's our final destination. So
It is.
yeah.
And we're going to preview a little bit of that, and we're going to talk about that song once we finish playing it here. Coming up here on the David Jonathan Perception, ladies and gentlemen, Marshall Badger, this is Heaven. The David Jonathan Perception. That was Heaven. That was Heaven by Marshall Badger. That song kicks. You feel me? It kicks. And Marshall just shared with me when they actually did that. And I'm shocked. And I'm not even going to tell y'all. I'm not. Because it's so modern. It's so up to the sound. It's the flavor of the sound is so new still. And I think that's respectable considering that music loses its flavor. I feel like for people, that don't understand that the times, you don't want to sound like the 80s unless you're doing it on purpose. This sound like it was just done yesterday.
It's 11 years old.
Is it really?
The CD Push was released in 2009.
Wow.
Yeah. And that CD took me 4 years to complete.
Yeah, I know the feeling, brother. I've been going through that myself with my own project. It took me 5 years to write, because I had ideas and I ended up not liking some of the ideas, and so I wanted to scrap them or put them to the side and try something else. So to get it done right, you need that time.
Yes. And
it shows.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it definitely shows, but at the same time I'm going through a lot, trials and tribulations, ups and downs and roadblocks, but I just persisted and kept going.
And I saw in your biography that you have been to 24 countries.
Yes.
And you did a USO tours?
Well, DOD tour, Department of Defense tour with Van Taylor.
Oh, Van Taylor. Shout out to Van.
Yes.
And also, we want to also shout out D-Ray because we found out that D-Ray was the drummer at Bethesda at that time, breaking up all them cymbals.
Yeah, him and I were playing together for, like 2 years, just me and him, and, we were doing it.
Yeah, D-Ray, funny story about him. That's my boy, by the way. But D-Ray, we used to go to Bethesda and play, and Bethesda used to have their drum set sitting on a riser that was in the back on the stage. Mm-hmm. And under it, one time we was having a little shed situation there. Preston was leading the shed. Preston and what's my brother? Carlton Campbell.
Wow.
And they were leading the shed. And so I showed up to the shed, and we was all looking for cymbals because nobody brought their own stuff. And we like, yo, man, where the cymbals at? We looked, and D-Ray wasn't there. We looked up underneath the riser, and it's just all these broken cymbals. D-Ray broke a heavy ride. How? I said, boy, you hit too hard, boy. But that's D-Ray. That's how D-Ray gets down. So shout out to D-Ray. He just came back from the Philippines. He is safe. He is home with his family, and I'm glad he's home as well.
Thank God.
Absolutely. So tell me, you said you started in the 80s, and I also read in your biography that you then came to Christ.
Yes.
And do you remember what year that was?
Well, after I did all of my traveling and things like that, I felt like it was really time to settle down and get stabilized, find a day job, because I've done music full time for years and years. So we're talking like 2000, the year 2000. Actually, just a short testimony. June of 1999 is when I decided that I wanted to stop doing drugs and drinking and smoking and things like that. And once I gave that up, I never looked back.
Wow.
Yeah. I never had the desire to do the they don't call it reefer now.
The reefer.
And the coke and,
right.
Things like that, smoking cigarettes, I just left it because I was tired. I was tired of being tired,
right.
And then I just moved forward.
Now, how do you feel like that change impacted your music? Because then I would, some Christians are very hard pressed about, doing anything that was secular. And how did that change your love for music? Did it modify your style or anything at all?
Well, it just left room for whatever was in me to come out. To where and actually, I've always written songs, but they started coming to me more and more. So it was definitely for the better. To where I could think clean and just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know a lot of artists like that too. Like Patty, I've tried to get Patty to do other things for me, and that was secular. And Patty's like, nope, I ain't doing nothing but gospel and I feel her because when you've come from a place of testimony, and certain things may remind you of a certain place, then you have to remove yourself from those environments.
Yeah.
So I totally understand that.
Yeah. Well, I've always been a jazz kind of a guy, smooth jazz. So that's always been in me. I remember when I was very young, I heard a chord and it was a major 7 chord in my head.
Yes, sir.
I heard the chord.
Life changing.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just, that's been in me all these years.
Well, you to me, I feel like you have a lot left in the tank. You have a lot to give. You have a lot for the younger generation of musicians to learn from, in my personal opinion.
Thank you.
I don't feel like enough musicians now understand what was going on, even back in those times. I mean, in the 80s, you had they were starting with the war on drugs in the Reagan administration. It was a lot of things and temptations around that could have led you in a direction that would have kept you permanently messed up. So the fact that you were able to identify that, and I'm sure you had your own struggles with it.
Yes.
But you found your place, and then you said, you know what, I'm good. That's good footing for me. I'm gonna stay there.
Yes.
So that's commendable. I saw that you work with Blue Magic. We got to talk about that because I love Blue Magic.
Yes. Good times at the Trough.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was just. Back then, I had the Marshall Badger Band.
Yeah, I saw a clip of that on YouTube. An old clip from 1991.
And who was that?
It was brother. Listen, because I was researching you, right? And I was searching on YouTube and I found this old video of you, and it had the date on it, and it said the Trough, and it was like 1991, 90 or 91, and it was like your band, and y'all sound great.
Thank you. Well, the Trough has been my home since way back then. So I've been very fortunate to meet a lot of major artists through the Trough, and just hanging out and being at their sound checks, and like Jonathan Butler.
Yeah, Jonathan Butler.
I had a chance to eat dinner with him.
That's awesome.
Way back then. It was just a great time.
That's
great
amazing,
time.
man.
Yeah.
And before we went on to your song, we were talking about the I called them USO tours because it reminds me of that. But this was tours to serve the troops.
Yes.
And tell me about that experience.
That was one of the greatest experiences in my life. For 2 years, we traveled like 3 months on and 3 months off. So we were able to go to, at that time, I did 24 countries and 7 islands within that 2-year span. And it was just amazing to me just to see all of the different cultures of the world, from Asia to Europe to the Caribbean. It was amazing to be able to go to the Marshall Islands. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And see those people that are just lost. Yeah. I was able to go to, I've been to Cuba, over to, oh Jesus, what is it?
Are we talking about in the Caribbean?
Yes.
Jamaica, Trinidad.
Haiti.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Listen, over in Haiti, man, we're driving down the road and they have, their houses are like cardboard.
Yeah, true.
You know what I'm saying? And we're looking at the people in the river where they use the bathroom in the river and wash their clothes in the river.
Right.
Okay, so we're driving down Haiti and we're seeing all of this. Then literally within a blink of an eye, it like turned from black to white, from night to day. We're driving up into Club Med, a resort.
Yeah, out of nowhere, right? That's how it happens.
Out of nowhere, where they're serving shrimp and fish and all of it was just amazing to me. Over in Panama, they had no health care.
Yeah.
So they were allowed, in order to beg on the street, they would have to break their arms or something, and that's legal.
Right.
If you're disabled.
Yeah.
You could beg on the street.
It's life changing, and it makes you grateful.
Makes you very grateful. I mean, even I had to be grateful for toilet tissue because people use the bathroom in holes.
Yeah, true.
And don't have toilet tissue.
And
Don't have running water.
They'll bury their
Yeah.
their bodily functions.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went to I'm one country's under you in terms of my travel. I'm 22, 23.
Awesome. 24.
24, so I'm 23. And I went over to Colombia, and bruh, when I tell you, it broke my soul. I mean, I've been to other places, and the things I saw in other places were shocking. But when I went to Colombia and saw the devastation of the drug trade down there from the Pablo Escobar, and how some people to this day still revere him and fear his legacy because he did some things that did help. But then there's this other side that's very evil, that happened there. And you could tell that the people are still affected by that.
Wow.
And there's some going on in Venezuela with their leader, and a lot of Venezuelan refugees came to Colombia, and they're outside. Like, they're asking for money to sell fruit baskets and stuff. We're not talking like, I need money for a fix. Mm-hmm. Like, these people need it to live in a day. And their kids are even out there, and they even got babies in their hands while they're still trying to sell. And then I went to a school to go do a drum clinic. And I realized that the drum set they had there for me was rented because the kids, they couldn't afford, they can't even afford to take their instruments home. They only can practice and play there. So I told the kids, I said, well, how are you practicing? Your fingerings for saxophone and flute and all these instruments. And they said like this, and they learn the fingerings. Wow. And then they go home and they all end up learning perfect pitch. So they know what they're going to do before they get back to it. And they rehearse that and then go back. And these are 4th, 5th, 6th graders proficient on their instrument.
Wow.
I'll show you some video later. And it just, man, when I say that broke my heart, man, it was like, wow. We complain so much, but we're so blessed. Let me take a moment, everybody, and do a little, let me pay these bills. This episode is, they have not asked me to sponsor them. I'm doing this out of general love for this company because they're amazing and is Black owned. And that is Sunshine Vegan Eats. Sunshine Vegan Eats at 893 Jefferson Avenue, Buffalo, New York. The number is 716-725-0284. Me and my fiance went there for some food, and it's very rare that you find a vegan place in the hood. And we were very impressed, and the food was very good. I didn't even know that I was not eating meat. It's sensational. And all of the meals are named after like her kids or a parody or something. And it's just amazing that that's happening. And especially in this time. So I'm always encouraging to shop Black and Black businesses. So please make sure that you patronize this building. We're going to get back into this interview pretty soon. We're going to set up for this other song that Marshall has called A Mother's Love. And can you just tell me briefly about that?
Yes. I was over at my producer's house, Kenny Hawkins, and he played this song for me that he wrote, and I was listening to the drums, and it sounded just like a real drummer, but he had programmed the drums. So I said, wow, man, that sounds really, really good. So it inspired me to go home and put one of my songs together. And this is what I came up with, A Mother's Love.
Marshall Badger here on the David Jonathan Perception, A Mother's Love. A mother's love. A mother's love. Listen, what? You hear that? Listen, Marshall, that's beautiful, man. That's
Thank you.
What year did you start working on this particular song?
Actually, last year.
And it sounds good, man. Listen, I feel bad. I feel like I need to. Well, I'm already working on my second album. You know, the first one ain't debuted yet, but I'm trying to amass a library of music. I definitely need you and me to write a song together.
That would be great.
Because I feel like it would not be fair if we didn't do that.
Let's make it happen, man.
I'm totally down for that, man. Seriously. So me and Marshall were just talking during the break, and you know, this song and his other song, I mean, these are phenomenal songs. Buffalo has so much talent. You've probably heard that. It's like beating a dead horse. We have a lot of good talent here, but we need more people to support the talent that we have. I commission you, Buffalo, and the rest of the world to not just skim by music when you hear it, you know, absorb it, listen. I remember back in the day when albums would come out, you know, you would have to hear it a couple times for you to, you know, you'll listen to a album with 14 tracks, and then maybe track 7 you don't like, right? But then after a while, when you listen to track 7 some more, you be like, track 7 is starting to become my favorite tune.
It grows on you.
Right, because you're absorbing the music. Instead of just, we're in a culture now where people's attention spans are very short. And the fact that, you know, like for instance, that song is by industry standard the right amount of time and everything, and it just feels good. It just feels good, and that's what I love about your music. It feels good.
Thank you.
So, I guess what I want to also talk about today, you are affiliated. Of course, your last name is affiliated with the Badgers in Buffalo, as in Pastor Badger being your
Uncle.
Your uncle, and I used to always call him the brother.
Everybody does that.
I don't know why I want to do that, but he is your uncle, or
He's my uncle.
he's your uncle.
I'm his nephew.
We got a chopper, military chopper flying over.
Uh-oh, take cover. Take cover.
Which is a great segue. I want to mention this because I know that I saw Mo Badger, and I know Mo for years. They were dealing with COVID in the family. And have anybody you know besides even your own family affected by COVID-19?
Yes, a lot of people. And I've known some people to pass on.
Yeah, likewise.
And some people are still here, thank God. You know, but it's really something that, you know, you don't want to play around with. A lot of people just take it for granted and, it's not real and everything until it hits somebody close to them.
Right.
So.
And I agree. I'm not going to lie. When it first happened, I was saying to myself, here we go. But then as I began to see the evolution of stuff shutting down and the tremendous amount of numbers that were coming over from China to Italy, and then it was touching the U.S., I said, this is going to be a problem.
Yes.
And that was back in like February. Then March happened. March showed us an extreme uptick in cases.
Yes.
And, you know, everything shut down. And right now they're already talking about, you know, when should the kids be going back to school? And we've already decided that we're not sending our young to the school because we were living in the, our child was attending the 14215 area code, which was the heaviest impacted. And there was no plan at that school. And at that time we were considering moving, and we moved out to the suburbs, and they already had a tablet for her, and they already had this money allocated for her, for the school district, I should say. And I'm noticing, especially with who we have in office at the moment, that we're going to have to protect our own and watch our own.
Yes.
This is a time for unification. of all black people, especially. No disrespect. This ain't about the all lives matter thing. But, you know, when one house that's burning has been burning for over 400 years, don't get me started, Marshall. Then,
Did I tell you that?
no.
About
What?
the house burning?
No. What happened?
If you got 5 houses on the street and one house is burning and the other houses aren't, that one house needs that water, not the other houses.
It really does.
So that one house matters.
Right. And that's why we have all been saying Black Lives Matter. It's not because we are trying to get special attention. It's just that over the course of time, and you probably, not to telling your age, but I don't know what year you were born.
I just turned 60.
You just turned 60?
July 16th.
Listen, the Marshall look good, y'all. Listen, he look young. He looks healthy. You know what I'm saying? But that's good genes. That's just how we get down. But how did you find any racism affecting your music career over the time that you've been doing your music?
No, not really. Not as far as my musical career, and even in school, there was, because of course I went to all black schools except for high school, but we really didn't feel it there then. But it was evident. I mean, like in 1963, was it that they were just now allowed to vote?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
voting rights were passed.
Yeah. So we were still fighting. See, the thing is, the blacks, we just want to be able to sit at the same table.
Same table.
We want to be able to drink at the same water fountain. We don't want to be better than, but we want to be equal.
Right. And
because we are.
We are. And that's, it's so funny that you say that, because it's like, I've had to have these hard conversations with certain people about, why we're saying that and why we're doing that and why that matters. So it always seems like it's a point of not understanding, Right. Like it's a foreign thing. Like, I don't know what you mean. And it's like, well, of course you don't know what we mean, because you've been born into a world that already is set up good for you.
Yes. It's been passed down for generations.
Right. And our society with black people, and the reason there's, like, right now we have an uptick in violence right now, 84% up in cases in Buffalo, New York. And the percentages around the world because of, one, lockdown, two, with that lockdown and people not working, now you got people that are normally not having to be home with their children on a regular basis. So, of course, this is now going to bring a lot of things that have been going up: domestic violence, child abuse, suicides. And, they're end up being systemic to black people, especially affected. And it's funny that sometimes things are not changing until it hits certain other households and it becomes a problem for them. Then now it's a national problem. Yeah. And people may not see that, but I see it. I see it at 35 and you see it at 60. So that's a generation. Yes. That's a generation is classified as 20 years. So if that's a little bit over 20 years between me and Marshall, and we saying the same thing, then it's something's got to be wrong, right? Right. And somebody needs to be trying to fix that. So, in this time, I feel like music is bringing peace to people's souls, and the way that you're doing it is really, it's classy, man. It really is.
Thank you.
If you are not aware of Marshall Badger's album, what's the name of your album, by the way? Push. And I used to mess with Marshall because I don't know if it was your website, but it was Don't Badger Me.
That's my email address.
Yeah.
Don't badger me.
I love that, man. I love that. I still love that to this day. So I would see Marshall every now and then. I'd be like, hey, there he goes. Don't badger me.
That's right.
Don't you bother me. I want to give a shout out to rest in peace for John Lewis as well.
Yes.
He fought for many years of hard fought, dirty boots in the mud activism to make sure that we have what we need today. And, ashe to John Lewis, really, seriously. If you don't know who John Lewis is, go look him up. He is the reason why I feel like I'm even able to do this, and I'm able to have my freedom of speech to talk about anything I want to talk about.
Yes.
So shout out to John Lewis. They just took his body over the bridge that took place in Alabama for equal rights and racial rights at the time with Dr. Martin Luther King. They have taken over in horse-drawn buggy over the bridge. I thought that was beautiful. Mm-hmm. And both sides, left and right, I see them, honoring that man. And that makes me feel good, especially in times like these.
It's beautiful.
This is why we have to continue to make the music. Because making the music is going to be the soundtrack to... We've always had a song for everything. Mm-hmm. Gospel brought us through a lot of pain. Blues brought us through a lot of that pain because we had no other way to get that out. So it's not uncommon for us to be great, to be honest with you, because that might come off a way to some certain people. But it's true, because in the pain that we faced came out this beautiful music. Mm-hmm. And in one way, shape, form, or another, it's impacted us and made us have to, see things a little differently. And I feel like your approach, do you have any classical training at all?
A little.
Because, man, you smooth, man. It's just smooth. It's very smooth.
Thank you.
Now, where can people find your music? Where can we go and find anything that's Marshall Badger?
iTunes.
Yes. Okay, so they can type in Marshall Badger?
Yes.
And that'll come up in iTunes?
Yes, it will.
Excellent. And is there any other place, or is that just the only place for now?
Well, we're going to look to David to get Marshall set up.
Oh, my goodness. You put me on the spot live. Yeah, me and Marshall talked about getting some things together for him. I just enjoy doing it, especially for my brothers in music. And, I'm a quiet storm. I keep it moving, but I
don't. Listen. David is brilliant, okay? And David knows his stuff. If you need any kind of help with social media, setting up anything like that, he's the man to go to. He is the go-to man, and I'm going to him.
I appreciate that, man.
Not a problem. That's a plug for you. Seriously, though. I'm very serious about that. Matter of fact, he has helped me with this one site. It's called Fiverr. And
shout out to Fiverr.
Yes. I have made some things happen with Fiverr.
Fiverr, and by the way, Fiverr is once again not sponsoring this episode, but I'm just going off my personal experiences. Fiverr is a platform that allows you to take advantage of certain services that normally would charge you an arm and a leg. And you're dealing with people all over the world. So if you need, photo adjustments, edits, music, you need somebody to sing something nice on a vocal for you. You are no longer limited to just what's around you.
Right.
You are now available to the world. So if you don't have a Fiverr account, don't sleep on it. Go to Fiverr. Another place I would like to plug too is Udemy. Udemy is where you can actually do like online classes. And let's say you wanted to do some master classes for guitar, just short stuff. You can go to Udemy, set up an account. People will pay you all over the world to take your classes.
See what I'm saying? I knew nothing about this.
Yeah, man. That's what I'm saying. We're in the age of multiple streams of income. And to be honest with you, and I've been furloughed off of work and furloughed off. And when I say work, I mean as my music career. All my concerts and tours this year have been canceled. My album was delayed because the studio was shut down. So I had to start doing everything from the house. Mm-hmm. So my podcast is interesting because I never I was still planning on starting my podcast. I used to actually be on Anchor.fm, which was another podcasting, and Sprecher is another one. So I'm not new to doing this. However, it just so happens the pandemic came, and now I'm just doing them from either my house, or I can go to wherever I can take calls over the phone with people. So in this time, here we are,
Yes.
and it's time to get your stuff out now. If you have any visual works or things like that, you definitely need to get on your grind. Marshall's been on his grind, so I don't know what's taking y'all so long. What's taking y'all so long? Do you have anybody you'd like to shout out? Anybody you'd like to any thank yous or anything like that?
Yeah, listen, I would like to thank my mother, Shirley Badger.
Amen.
Unconditional love, unconditional support. She's my number one fan. Shout out to my mom. I love her dearly, and I actually wrote that song for her, A Mother's Love.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Mom's still with us?
Yes, she's still here, thank God.
How old is she?
82.
Wow.
She's still here. Matter of fact, I take care of my mom.
Right.
So she's a blessing.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And she's always supported you in your music.
Always.
Always there.
And shout out to my man, Brian Freeman.
Hey, Brian.
Trumpet player. He's a great friend.
Yeah, I love Brian.
Kenny Hawkins,
Yes,
Jerry
sir.
Livingston.
Yes, sir.
Tony Robinson, Flute Johnson.
Yep.
With his crazy self. Preston Brown.
Yes.
All the good people, all the musicians, shout out to Buffalo.
Yeah, that's real.
Yes.
Buffalo is... Uh-oh. The inner city bedlam is outside. Yo, these mics pick up everything,
Wow. Can't delete that.
Can't delete that. I ain't gonna delete it either. We gonna leave it just. That's what this show is about. We raw,
being real.
We real. This is real life out here. Marshall, it's been a pleasure having you here. We will do it again. We will do it again, and I really had a lot of fun doing this with you. And anybody else you want to shout out? I don't want to leave anybody out.
Shout out to my family, Mo Badger, Bishop Badger, and Joyce Badger, Pastor Pridgeon, and Monique, and, True Bethel Baptist Church, Bethesda World Harvest International Church. Just much love to everybody.
And by the way, I grew up in Bethesda Church, by the way, people. That's where my roots started. I started in Bethesda. I did not play drums in Bethesda until I was an older man, though. I was in my 20s when I ended up getting a call from Mo saying they needed somebody to play. But Bethesda, my father was there back in the day.
Thomas
Hewlett Sr. Was one of the head ushers of Bethesda.
Wow.
And I was a little boy going to children's church with Sister Toylan.
Toylan Reed.
Yes, brother. We going back in time.
Oh my God.
And the kids, they knew how my dad was, and so they would get me in trouble on purpose because they knew my dad would tear my butt up right up there in children's church. You hear what I'm saying? So I've seen Bethesda come to the place that it is now, and the time blows my mind. But I ended up honing my skills later because my mom and my aunt ended up starting a church.
Wow.
And this was back in the day, and they needed a musician. So I ended up becoming the piano player and the drummer, and I would switch on and off during service. Mm-hmm. But I started in Bethesda.
Wow.
Started in Bethesda, right there at Children's Church.
Awesome.
Brother Jerome, and their son is named Paul.
Oh, yeah.
He's on the praise team, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And Mo, God, I mean, I ain't never played Mo in basketball, though. I ain't got them kind of knees anymore. God bless you. I'm getting old. Creakies, okay? When you get a certain age, certain things start happening to your body.
Just say no.
Just say no. So, Marshall is giving these shout outs. I am once again going to shout out Sunshine Vegan Eats on Jefferson, 893 Jefferson Avenue, Buffalo, New York. Once again, that's Sunshine Vegan Eats, 893 Jefferson Avenue, Buffalo, New York, 716-725-0284. And listen, if you're going to place an order there, make sure you do it in enough time because they're so busy that if you do not call ahead of time, you will be waiting. And it's not their fault. It's just that it's good.
Wow.
It's that good. So
I will check that out.
check it out. I'll make sure you have this information. Look at this card. Let me slide it over to you. Look at that food, man.
Delicious. Wow.
They have a sub called the Impossible Naya. And it's based off of one of her children. I love it. I love it. I am so happy that we got to do this today. Another episode in the books. We're going to definitely have Marshall back probably next month or something. He's working on some new things too. Am I correct about that?
Oh, that's correct.
Yeah,
That's
Marshall's
correct.
working on some new material, making once again timeless classics for y'all. Yeah, that's what I said.
I like that.
Timeless classics. You know what I would love to see? I would love to see you on a vinyl.
Okay.
A vinyl record of one of your works. So maybe sometime in the future.
Well, you know what I would love to see?
Would I asked for this. What would you love to see, Marshall?
You on vinyl too.
Oh, yeah, we working on it. 400 is coming out. The first single will be out October. Okay? The second single is going to be out in December. It's going to carry us right into Valentine's Day. It's going to be beautiful. The last one is going to be out in March. And then the debut of this album should be in May.
Nice.
May of 2021. I had to push it a little bit farther back because of everything, but it is sounding great. Marshall's going to hear it before he leaves. What I've been working on, this monstrosity, and we're going to write some music and we're going to do something too.
Beautiful. I listen. Before we go, I want to. I'm going to speak this into existence.
Mm-hmm.
It's my prayer that one of my songs will be on a major movie soundtrack one day.
Absolutely.
I'm pushing for that.
Yeah, and I concur.
I'm putting that out in the atmosphere.
It should be.
Yes.
It should be. And it's time.
Yeah.
It's time. Listen, Marshall is 60 and he not slowing down. So you have no excuse.
To be honest, I'm really getting started with this next level.
Mm-hmm. Marshall about to level up on y'all. Y'all gonna be dragging behind you like, oh yeah, I remember Marshall. Like, nah, it's too late now. Now he lived in Calabasas.
Watch out now.
With a $2.5 million home. You feel what I'm saying?
Watch out now.
Watch out. So Marshall is definitely working on new things. We will absolutely keep that in mind. We are going to let that flow into the atmosphere.
Yes.
Because when you speak those things come to pass.
Yes. It's been a prayer of mine for years. And it's never too late. Never too late.
So don't get me going. I was about to do that. You know I was about to do that. Never too much. Anyway, so
keep pushing.
Keep pushing. Don't badger me, but keep pushing.
Pray until something happens. Push.
Pray until something happens. Everyone, it has been a pleasure having Marshall here. Now for my last little 2 cents. I am so glad that we are able to continue to bring this show. Sometimes it's weekly. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it depends on my guests. But I am proud to have people here from the local Buffalo area. If you have a business, if you want support, if you are looking for sponsorships to be on the show to have either your music played, or if you are a business looking to have your business information shouted out over the air, please give me a call. It's all good. You can reach me. The number that you would reach would be area code 347-669-4538. Once again, that's area code 347-669-4538. Hit me up. Let me know. I will make sure that you get on here. If you have any guests that you think would be a potential guest, or if you think you would like to be a potential guest on the David Jonathan Perception, hit me up. Let me know. I have a Facebook. I got a website, You can either reach it by innercitybedlam.com, or you can also contact you can contact Teaspoons World teaspoonsworld.com. That's www.teaspoonsworld.com. So glad we could bring you all this beautifulness today. Once again, if you are alone and you are by yourself during this time and you need someone to talk to, feel free to hit anybody up. That you can hit me up. Marshall is the kind of cat, he'll pray for you.
Come on.
He won't hesitate.
No, not at all.
And it's a lot of people going through things right now with depression, and they have nobody else to look to. And we don't want to see any casualties, especially people that we know and love. So help is available. You can also contact the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, which is 1-800-273-8255. 24 hours a day. Languages are English and Spanish. And if there's any other languages you need, you can also visit the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which is suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Every life matters. Okay? I'm saying it like that. But Black Lives Matter too. Okay? I said it. Marshall, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And we out.
Peace.